have viewers. Alright, for those of you people that ever watched the beginning of this stuff, this is more level development of the last stages of the horror game Kaet Must Die. I'm working on my murder forest a little bit, and then I'm going to pop back in and try and finish up the last two kill zones. I've already got an outline here for how I want this to look. Oh, that's interesting. Where in the hell is that white light at? Gosh dang it, Scott. That is not supposed to be there, and I already baked it on. However, we're going to pop up our directional light a little bit just so that way I can develop in it. And then I'll pop that back down when I get done. Oof. It's still pretty rough. I may have to just go unlit. I just hate looking at these things unlit. It's just so jarring to the eye. But I think that's what we're gonna have to do. That spot's all white because I had accidentally left a point light in there when I did my last bake, and it kind of blew it out a little bit. Alright, so we got the happy camp over here. Oh, that's right. And you know what I was going to go grab out of checkpoint 3. Some of these static meshes that have point lights already on them. Bloop. And this little bastard. Persistent, so I need to move over to checkpoint 7, and we're just gonna fly up a little bit so that makes it a little easier to drag it over here. Now we can close off checkpoint 3 again because I don't need it. Now what this will give me is a real nice low-key ambient static light that I can use to light up the forest a little bit, and then just accentuate with the fires and the sanity lighting here and there. I am going to drop this light down a little bit more. I want to see how it looks on the trees. Oof. I may need to brighten it up just a little bit more, although it might not be bad once I get a few of them in there. It's just this spot is a really dark spot. See how it looks. Just for this a little bit, I'm going to shut down the cone a little. Go out the attenuation, it isn't going to matter too much. Pop this up a little higher, simply because I'm not indoors anymore. And I may be able to get away with it a little bit more on this point light as well. So I'm going to pop this up. Whoop, that's way too bright though. I don't want to make it implied that this is a safe place to be in. There we go. That looks a lot better. So I'm going to take that and that, turn it into a group. That and that, and group it. Here we go. And because it's static light, it's not going to impact our frame rate on it. It's just going to bake it on nice and tasty like. The question becomes, how low do I want this to the ground for brightness' sake? scale-wise, it's a little rough. I think I might move one over by the bodies so I can get a better sense of scale. And unfortunately, I do need to re-preview bake this section because that super bright white light is doing me no favors at all. So I've got everything awake that I need, and this will invalidate the light bake from some of the other sections, but that's fine because I don't need to commit it until after doing a full bake anyway, and I do need to see how bright these lights are, so there's just no way around it because I already blew that out. So, yes, build anyway. We're going to pop this bad boy up. And this should only take a hot moment. You'll notice I've hidden the other levels that I don't need to have baked right now, just to save a little bit of time. But this should go pretty quickly. Hey Flip Game, how you doing? I see you lurking there. Every now and then I look over and see our Twitch stuff has gone up and down. It's been way too much coffee today. Way too much. I'm on like my 4th or 5th cup, I'm not even sure. Not too bad. Paul and I have been working on finishing up KMD while I bang out the last level. He's been banging in the the VR support, as well as figuring out, and although it technically, I suppose, he was looking at it for VR support, figuring out why the frame rate wasn't as high as he thought it should be, and he figured some stuff out. Apparently some of our particles weren't occluding. And so he's going to fix that up for me. Flip Game, were you in the Ukraine? Do I recall right? Germany, Ukraine? And I got to do a quick video capture of myself doing some hand gestures so that way I can get an animator to animate the arms. I can't imagine it'll take them much more than a day. Denmark. Oh, Paul, I'm going to make my American ignorance known. What do you suppose the language of Denmark is? I'm going to guess it's not Denmarkian. Danish? Is that right? Danish sounds right. Or am I just hungry? Alright, Flip Game. What's your fish? It's Danish, right? Right? It's Danish. Come on, help me out. What was it? Danish. Get 3 more letters than you, too. Oh my god, I can barely handle the 12 letters I know in the American alphabet. Just pounding out a real quick light bake. It's always nice when I hear Paul go, oh, there we go, I figured it out. How's the mic gain on this? Is this decent enough? Actually, I can just listen. I may pop that up just a tiny bit more. Testerino, testy, testy. Mic gain set to 100. Oh, it's not too bad. Alright, light bake is done. It must be encoding textures, and it is. I do usually talk a little bit louder when Paul's not here, just because I can get loud and crazy, but I'm being respectful. But yeah, we've got a plan forward with Twabor. We're going to be pivoting on a couple of things. I got some exciting news that'll be coming out on that front soon. But right now we're focusing on finishing up Kaet Must Die, just because we're near the end of it. And Paul's been pretty excited to work on VR, I must say. I don't remember seeing him being so excited to work on something in quite a while. But I suspect it's just because when he works on VR, he works from home, where his VR setup is, and he's probably just rocking out the boxers at home, and I assume drinking beer and like belching like Rick. Just party on. Parties. Yeah, I'm gonna find in like the game, it's just gonna be "fuck you, Scott" everywhere, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, Emily must have come over. But you know, what can you do? All right, that gives me a better look since I got rid of the blown out light. Right now it is just Paul and I. We are finishing touches on Kaet Must Die. I have been talking with publishers and a VC firm to help us pick up. Why do I want to check all that shit out? Fine, whatever. Twabor. And so we're kind of pivoting on it a little bit with a new plan of action. If we do get someone to pick it up, or our new plan of action works out, then we'll be able to scale a little bit and grow again as a company. I fell prey to victim to the age-old problem of scaling too fast too soon, and originally I had so much pressure on me to get the game done as soon as possible that I had made the mistake of hiring too many people all at once, which blew through our development funds. And so now we're pseudo-coasting through the end here. Not really coasting, but we're just kind of planning and taking a bit more deliberate steps to make sure everything is finished and done well and ready to go. Because if there are any hard lessons to be learned in game development, I have decided to learn them the hardest way possible. Wah wah. And today was supposed to be Drunk Dev Wednesday, but Carrie did not end up making it into the office. And I forgot I've got to pick up my daughter today at 5:30, so being hammer drunk right before I need to go drive is not probably a great idea, especially picking up my little girl. Let's see, that is not bad. These lights are looking pretty good. Actually, these are almost a little too bright right here because it kind of still implies. So the directional light might have to come down a little tiny bit more. Yeah. I think directional light's got to come down a little bit more. Just so I can get a better idea. Yeah, Emily is unfortunately no longer with the company. I think she'd mentioned she might be streaming her own thing coming up soon. She is still chatting in our Discord a little bit, just on a personal level. So if you want to know more about what she's got going on, that's a good way to keep in touch with her. see. And this me bot just keeps posting every time we go streaming in Discord. And so it's nothing but streaming, 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 streaming. I'll just delete a few of them out so that way the chat doesn't look as much like it is spammed. I bet that one day, probably every time it goddamn disconnected, yeah, it does look like every single time it disconnected. So I'll just keep a little bit better of an eye on that. And she is in Discord as Echo Rose, so you can always ping her. Yep, we've been trying for a while. I'm talking to a couple three. Unfortunately, they don't share my sense of urgency, so it's a lot of hurry up and wait. Send an email, wait for a reply. Send an email, wait for a reply. And it's, it can be a little aggravating. But it's the way this game is played. Alright, where was I now? Oh yeah, just taking a look. Now 1.0 is not bad. Now that is super bright right there. That's intentional because I wanted to draw somebody over there. This isn't bad. This light. That one is not bright enough, I don't think. So I want to see what happens. Yeah. Processes and wheels turn slowly and move slowly. And rarely do you find partners that are working on your time schedule with your sense of urgency. Nope, I bet I just buried that in the static mesh. I did not. It's just not super bright. Let's go. That's not bad. You know, realistically, I probably don't need that if I just adjust this one a little bit better. So, I'm going to get rid of this just for giggles right now. Grab this little bad boy here. Let's see what that point light's at. It's got a pretty big attenuation. And the fall-off exponent is set about where I want it. I think I just got to pull that brightness up. Oof, that might be a little too high, although it always bakes on darker. But it still might be a little too high. Let's double what I had it at. Same thing for this one. That one's not needed if I'm doing this one right. Click on there because it's actually a component on that static mesh as a blueprint. So 0.5. And I'm going to grab a third one just for placement so that way I can see how it's going to look with a decent spread of them. And then I'm going to do a preview bake again. And that'll give me an indicator of how my ambient lighting is going to look. And again, this is all static lighting. So it's just supposed to be bright enough to where the player doesn't necessarily bump into everything. but dark enough to where it still implies that you're going to lose sanity. Because I don't want a player running over into this corner going, I died, it was bright enough. Nope, that was not the intention. And then I'm going to throw some barrels in here as well. But just for giggles, we're going to save this out. Save this one. And I'm going to do a preview build.
Oh, let me know when you do that. I'm going to take a look at the light in my.
Oh, yeah. On your side? Hey, frogs hate water. How you doing? Frogs do not hate water. Wait, do they? Is it toads that like water? Who hates... No, frogs can't hate water. That's where all the bugs are. Alright, this stream's going to get a little wonky as it uses my processor. And I'm going to toss it up just that way you can see. And so CPU is going to go real high. XSplit's going to hate the crap out of it. Although that would make an amusing story, though. Like a children's novel about a frog that hates water. Oh, I just keep drinking more coffee, and I am not thirsty for coffee. I'm just thirsty. I need to go get... Yeah, Flip Game, when you do a light bake, it uses your processor up to 100%. And in some cases, all of your memory. And that's why that other one that you see there is actually the swarm agent. For whatever reason, it's very cathartic for me to watch the little swarm agent run. It makes me feel like I'm very powerful and in control of a bunch of computers all at once. I mean, I guess that's kind of true. But it's also using all of those computers' processors at 100%. And most of those have 8 to 16 cores. BuildBox 2 is a server. I think that's got 16 cores. When we were in the deep throes of game development, trying to get all the levels done early on, I had an AWS box that had 132 cores running, and that would just stream through the light bakes in about, no matter how much I threw at it, about 20 minutes. Whereas in some of our larger levels that weren't built correctly, the light bake, I would start it on a Friday and it wouldn't be done on Sunday, and all the systems would be locked up. So, I mean, there is finesse and the right way to use the engine, and then the inexperienced junior way to use the engine. I do think I'm going to try and eat the pomegranate today. Although I read that they do not ripen any more after you pluck them. I'm hoping that that's an old wives' tale. The deep throws. Kevin Lane. Is that actually my Kevin Lane? Is that Big Red? Because if that is Big Red, I would be a happy, happy camper. You know, what's funny is that XSplit didn't warn me about the frames and encoding. But the last one of these pomegranates I opened when I bought them together was not ripe, and it did not taste super yummy. Oh, Big Red, it's been like forever since you tried to film me spitting in your bathroom. Now, that sounds bad, but he was doing a project for film school, and he needed an actor. Yeah, I did actually Flip Game. I went onto YouTube to figure out how to open it, but the problem wasn't how to open it. It was that it wasn't super ripe, and because they say it gets like a deep crimson red, and this I'm a little worried because although the one side, I bought these before I opened it or learned how to eat them. The one side's dark red, but the other side's like a yellowish green, and it said you're not supposed to pick them until the whole thing is a deep crimson red. So I'm wondering if this is like going to be the bitterest, sourest, unripenest pomegranate that anybody ever ate. Because in all the videos and pictures, the pomegranate seeds are that dark crimson red, and the last one I opened up, they were more yellowish than anything. Then you'll see my processor's going to pop way back up again when it's encoding the textures. Here, I'll get this, although it's not showing on your screen. It is encoding the textures. And so that processor is happy, good times. Kevin, you throw out all the seeds and eat the rest of the pomegranate? I can't begin to describe the ways of why that is wrong. Blood red on the inside and bright red on the outside, yeah. Kevin apparently eats pomegranates hardcore. Go away thing, go away task manager. Where he just eats them bitter as possible. Alright, so this is... That's not bad. It's bright enough to where you can see there's something there, but not so bright. It might be just a little too bright. Yeah, I can fly over to your side. I was just looking to see how it looked in the... So we're going to zoom over to Paul's Psycho room. And so this is yours. You want me to bring it down a notch or two?
Yeah, we're in like 0.6. We're in 0.5. Let's just go to 0.5 because the 0.4 initially looked at 0.5. That should be good.
Roger Dodger. And I'm going to probably do another bake here in about 20 minutes, so I will take a look. Because Flip Game, Kevin is, he's a man that I've known a lot of years, and I say this as affectionate as possible, but Kevin's a dumbass. No, he's not. He's actually a very smart gentleman. He's just doing that to get our goats to rile us up and say clever things. That is not too terribly bad. I think I need to go a little less bright or possibly further away from the ground. Yeah, Kevin's a real good guy. He's just messing with you. Wonder if I pop this down to 0.75. Oh, good, it did not mess with anything there. And then I can stick that in here. I can have all these outside. It's going to change it a little bit. But as big as it is, I don't really like that. We're going to pull it down a little bit. That way I can use them more as lamp posts. Because the intention that I'm going to do with these guys is actually anywhere that I stick one, I'm going to put like a barricade around it to imply that it has been set up like an outpost out here. And that will also give the player a place to hide from the baddies and make it more feel like it belongs there. And so for that end, I can actually take one of these, move it over. Oh, hell, what sub level am I in? I'm in the right one. Good, good, good. Bloop. Move it over. So this can kind of give the appearance of that this. Look at that. Look how good that looks right now. Looks more like it was an outpost. And then I can just stick a wall with them. I may even turn that into a new blueprint instead of having to constantly adjust or drag them out. But just for giggles, I want to see how bright it makes the ground look. So if I know I'm going to have multiples of these, Did I bake it at 0.5 already, or did I bake it at 0.8? Ah, hell, I don't remember. So, we're going to bake it again. And then Paul can see what his zone looks like. Checkpoint 8 lights. I'm not sure why that needed to be saved, but we'll save out all the current levels. Ugh. So full, I want to keep snacking because I didn't really eat anything that felt filling. I ate a bunch of golden Oreo cookies today and a banana. So my body's all like, come on, buddy. Oh, that's cute. They named the grape tomatoes on the outside of this label. You have Tom, Matt, and Otto for tomato. See if I can, I don't know if that's going to actually auto zoom in appropriately. Tom, Matt, and Otto. Love grape tomatoes. Tomatoes. Oh, there's the habanero sitting in there. Eat me. No, habanero. What's wrong with you? Eat me. Hey, TTG. Yeah, the TTG game. It's looking amazing. This is you out here, TTG. You are dead. Wah, wah. JK, I wouldn't want to hurt you, TTG. You've been with us a long time, buddy. Alright, so we got that save rocked out. Unfortunately, I do need to do another preview light bake, just so I can get a better idea on how it's going to look for the ambiance. So we're going to pop that guy open. We're going to throw out Captain Task Manager again, so that way you guys can get giggles at my CPU. Task Manager. There we go. And while that is task managering, I will be right back. I'm going to go get a glass of water so that way I don't just keep drinking more and more and more and more caffeine. But this light bake's going to take all of like 60 seconds to maybe 2 minutes at the most. So be right back. found something that was plaguing all of our Draver levels, and all of a sudden we popped up to 120 frames on every level. Finish all of those. Oh, Kevin. You're flirting with me like that. Alrighty, light bake is done. It is encoding textures now, which will only just take another hot moment. Alright, I just realized that every time I start streaming, Restream sends out a tweet that says, attempting to reconnect, streaming is being wonky. So, I'm going to disconnect that. Because I didn't realize it was doing it every single time. And Discord just has the one, that's good. Alright. It's still a little darker than I would have liked, or a little brighter than I would have liked there on mine. It's not bad when it's higher up, but even then, I think I need to pop that down to probably 0.4. So what game are you looking forward to, Scott? Kaet Must Die. Why, of course. Haven't been playing a lot of other companies' games lately, just because most of my free time is spent, well, doing this to try and desperately make my company last longer than the next few months. Weeks, months, whatever. Alright, Paul. Use your light bake. Is this still too bright? The corners are quite a bit darker now.
Oh yeah, that's I think what I'm looking at. That hopefully will be dark enough. Yep, that should be good.
Cool. Now we're going to go back over to mine. Figure out where in the hell my murder camp was. Nope, it's not there. Where did I leave that murder camp? There it is. See, it's still a little too bright, so I think what I'm going to do is let's go to 0.4. Because that reduces the intensity by about 20% of what it was. Now it looks like it makes it brighter, but that's just kind of a trick of the engine, because when it's not baked on, it blows it out. So it is not that bright. And one of the things that I'm trying to accomplish here is making sure that the player feels very lost in these dark woods, because the zombies, which will be coming following the entire time by this point, there's going to be a minimum of probably 8 to 10 that are walking at you, are going to always be walking and trying to murder your bones. Alright, we're going to say that 0.4 is good enough for right now. And I'm going to just keep set dressing. I am going to look for a nice static mesh. That's the content browser. I wonder if I have a bush. I do not. How is that possible that I don't have a bush? Now, Kevin, if you're still there, what did you end up doing? I know you were going into film production, and I know you used to do a lot of welding. What are my thoughts on microtransactions in full-price AAA games? As the owner of a game company, albeit very small and unsuccessful, from an owner role, the point of a company, and I know people would want to argue this, but the point of a company is to make money. It's to hire people, make money, earn a profit. And if your customers are willing to pay for microtransactions in your full-price AAA game, then from a purely business perspective, there's no reason not to do it. Example being Overwatch. You can buy loot crates after paying, whatever, 40, 60 bucks for the game. However, there is no reason to buy those loot crates simply because you can unlock all of this stuff just by playing. So you are giving the option to the consumer on basically whether or not they choose to support your company by buying more of your product. If you have a game that you're charging $60 for and you can't win it or beat it or play it without spending more money, then that to me is more like usury or very unethical business practices. Let's see, somebody from Mob Crush wrote through a link in there. We'll just ignore that for the time being. So I have no problem with it if it's not required, Kevin, to play the game, because at that point the consumer has all of the power to make the choice of buy it or not. You do not need the newest Halloween skin to play Overwatch any more than you needed any of the skins to play League of Legends, as it doesn't change the game experience other than on a personal enjoyment level. But, you know, consumers will always complain that they want it cheaper and better just because that's a consumer perspective. Very rarely will you hear a consumer say, you know what, I want to spend more money on something. That's not the point of a consumer. Realistically, money is used in business, the price of stuff to, for example, like, you know, luxury cars. In many respects, there's not much different in a luxury car than like a premium Kia. You know, when you take a look, I was reading in one of the auto magazines, the top of the line luxury Kia, which I think was clocking in somewhere at like $45,000. These car people were saying was as good or better in some regards than like the comparable BMW or Mercedes that are costing $90,000 to $100,000. So at that point, It's really more of a matter of they're using the price point to distinguish themselves in the market and keep their brand at a certain level. Because there's obviously no reason that an iPhone needs to be $1,000 when you're looking at $150 worth of cost to manufacture. And they sure as heck aren't innovating on any kind of new software developments in it. But, you know, branding versus price. You're in wastewater now, sales and whatnot. How do you sell wastewater? I know, I'm not really, I'm probably not reading that right, but I assume wastewater treatment service? Or are you just like, here's a bowl of shit water, buy it from us? I suppose there'd be a market for that. You could sell it to, it depends on the developer and the company. Yeah, LOL is free to play. So again, you don't, and they make literally $1 billion in revenue every year. And so you as a consumer are choosing, I will support this company by paying the microtransaction. We originally had gone free to play with microtransaction when we were first testing it, and oh my god, the toxic backlash was overwhelming. Septic systems, yeah, that makes sense. More sense than trying to sell wastewater. But, you know, just for all this stuff, you have to keep in mind the perspective of the relative party. Are you as a game developer trying to do some altruistic thing where you're telling a story that everybody needs to know? Well, sure, make it free. Are you as a developer trying to earn a living, pay your rent, pay your bills, feed your baby, keep clothing on your back, keep yourself out of the poorhouse? Then you need to charge. And whether that's a single lump sum price or a microtransaction is up to you as the owner of the development company to make that choice. Because ultimately the market will bear out what the product is worth. If people don't think your $60 game is worth $60, they're not going to buy it. Plain and simple. If they don't think it's worth free with microtransactions, then they're still not going to buy it, even if it's free. There we go. I'm going to save out all these levels. You got me a little distracted there, Kevin. I love talking business practices. I almost wish that I would have gotten like my master's in it and taught business and economics. Because in theory, I know how it all works. In practice, I have not been super successful at it. The problem I keep running into is altruism. I opened this studio in Lansing to create jobs and opportunity and try and make this area better, and at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit where this game is being made. They just want the game to be made good and cheap. So my altruistic ways have quickly been flushed down the proverbial development toilet, as I've discovered fewer and fewer people care where it comes from so long as it's something they want to play. I'm going to bet that that's Mixer again. Is it's just barely whispering in the background, which I'm going to leave it that way because every time it disconnects, Mixer wants to restart and turn the volume up. Mixer does not want it to be mute. Heaven forbid. Alright, so now before I go through and put the rest of the lighting in, because I know what it's going to look like now, I've got a real good idea. I mean, it's a good point. Microtransactions is going to be ebb and flow. It's going to depend on the product. It's going to depend on the reach that the developer has already. It's going to depend on the demand. League can have it be free to play because demand is exceedingly high. But even then, when I was digging into it, they were saying it's something like between a 4 and 6% transaction rate for customers. You know, so if you keep that in mind, an indie company can't really live on free to play if their reach is like 20,000 people. You know, 4% of that 20,000, you're looking at, let's see, 200 customers. You know, you'd have to have the price of your game be $500 a unit just to survive for a few months. So it's not just as simple as saying all games should or should not be free to play, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that's what you're saying. I'm just pointing out that it is rarely as simple as saying all games need to be this or that, because we have tried free to play and it did not pan out at all, and was universally reviled by the people that had demoed it for us. The response was, we don't want another grindy or game where we have to grind out this stuff. They would rather just pay a little bit higher premium and just get all the stuff at once, which is where we started evaluating the value proposition of the game versus other products on the market and set the price for it, keeping in mind what the price would be when it's on sale. Because you don't want to set your final purchase price be the actual price, because nobody ever buys anything at regular price anymore. You have to set your target price to be the sale price. Okay, so now I'm going to, what does this stone look like again? Oh, it's the dark. Do I have a light over here anywhere? Do I have a light near any one of those white stones? I do not. Because why would I? It's not bad. What I want to see is how these white stones look under the dim lighting. And there isn't one, so I want to drag one over and compare it. So we're going to grab this happy little Yahoo, bring him over to here. Bloop. Get him a little bit closer to where this light is. Actually, you know what? And it wouldn't be bad to leave him there either. So we're just going to create a little bit of a hole and pop his happy ass in there. Tree can be fine because I have seen plenty of trees that have grown up around the cracks of rocks, so that is not an issue. I can probably clean that up a little bit, but realistically, I want to see the difference in the dark rock versus the light one. The pitch black one I do not care for, so we're going to get rid of him. And it's not like saying the free-to-play model is new now, because, like, Jesus, it's been a decade since it was really started to be experimented with. So, you know, for the longest time, in like 2008, 2009, everybody was screaming, World of Warcraft is dead because everything's going free-to-play, and, you know, they're still rocking out the 6 to 8 million users at their $10 to $12 a monthly charge, and people are still paying $60 for brand new AAA games, and in some cases even more than that when they're, you know, releasing expansions for $30 a pop. So free to play is a useful tool for the right product with the right company with the right reach, but for indies, free to play, unless you're really using it as a marketing device and you're kind of like throwing the dice hoping enough people will get you that 4% transaction rate, it isn't super viable. League set a bad precedent by making indies think that, 8-person indie startups can release a free-to-play game and still make hundreds of millions in revenue. You have to look at where League came from. Dota already had, they said, 3 to 4 million active players for years when it was a free mod for Warcraft 3. There was a built-in audience for League before League was even a concept. And so by, nature of that product, they didn't really have to worry too much once it took root and had some traction. Whereas for games like ours, nobody had heard about it beforehand. There was no, demand for it. So free to play did not in any way really help us. And that was a tough lesson to learn too, because we were really hoping that everybody would love it so much that they would purchase the transactions and blah, 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 blah. And then bring their friends and be like, word of mouth, fuckers. But just in reality, it doesn't play out like that. Not every time. Probably a tiny fraction of the time. I would assume it is very similar to like indie films, How many giant multi-million blockbusters are out there that are successful because of all the massive amounts of marketing and push and brand recognition versus how many indie films actually ever get heard of versus being released? Because I guarantee you there is hundreds to thousands of indie films that are really good that are released every year that nobody's ever seen or heard of or would ever pay money to see. Alright, Red, you keep distracting me too much. So, I'm going to start building out my murder holes. That sounds bad. Let's put checkpoint 5 up just so I can see where my walls are. I got my 3 holes. Already got my ramps. So I already know that it's going to be a lovely way to greet. I am going to start mazing over here. What are these rocks at? Those are effing huge, which actually speaks really well of the material. It does not blow out badly, despite that being scaled so high. Oh, real rock 4? It's because we bought that off of a marketplace pack. Wah wah. Alright, today from a production standpoint hasn't been the most production positive for me, but Paul's gotten a crap ton of good stuff done. I'm going to actually crank this bastard down to a scale of 1 so I can see what it's supposed to look like. And block that out and pop it up on an even scale, because the character is only about this tall, so I don't need it to be huge and blown out. I can get a better visual appeal off of it being smaller, because it'll be a lot tighter in how the material looks on it. And I can start mazing out my murder castle. Hey Visions, how you doing? Good seeing you back here again. It's always good to see you, buddy. And you know what? I want to see... We have actually a number of these. What is the triangles on these? I should probably take a look. Oof, 3,400. That's why they look so good.
Alright, I'm gonna head on out.
Cool, cool. Then I can start screaming at the people on stream.
Yes, I can't hear you talk. I was like, this is annoying me. I need to.
No, I got you. That's why I said I try to talk a little quieter when you're here. I try. Is there anything I need to update for that'll...
Yeah, I'm putting in the...
like the rock and mushroom pickups and stuff?
Putting in the Kaet. And then Because basically, it's even if they're not visible, it's still calculating, like spawning them and moving them.
So like, well, so it's a little like our tree problem from before.
Yes. So I'm going to look into getting rid of getting that fixed, and once that's fixed, if they're not active, it works just fine. But as soon as they're active, like so, a lot of the stuff we're using is activate and deactivate. So those ones will still like don't have any issues. It's just the ones we place more with you, make sure there are LEDs on them so they don't get calculated when they're not seen and when they're not close to them.
Visions, you're working on your first marketplace pack? That's exciting. What's it a pack of? Is it a pack of lies? It cracked me up.
Alright. And a new Kaet is in there with her abilities and whatnot.
Cool.
Picking up mushrooms and UI thing.
Will I be able to break down the wall yet?
Should be able to.
Last time I played it, it didn't do anything to the wall when I used it.
Just make sure that checkbox on can be destroyed is set to, or can damage is set to true.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's in the blueprint, right?
Yep. Or it's in, like you can click on the one in the level and just see if that's checked or not.
Gotcha. Paul's about to leave. We can start partying.
Alright. I will see you on Monday then.
Yep. You have yourself a fantastic weekend.
To you as well.
Hey, Fishtail Stew, how you doing? It's about loot, for example, can of food or a knife. Nice. Here, Fishtail Stew. I'll show you a little bit better with the lit scenario. So it's a VR jump horror. Now, the T-pose on those zombies is because they're physics activated with their skeletal mesh. So once the game's actually playing, they sway and swing and their arms are down by their sides like a normal hanging body would look like. But while the engine is not in the simulation, although I could probably show you here. Current camera, simulate. Oh shit, I probably should have saved too now that I've moved stuff around. In engine, the lesson is always save before you do something new because the engine will sometimes crash. Oh, for goodness sakes, I don't have those as streaming, do I? I do not. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now, Fishtail Stew, because of it takes a little bit longer to monkey around with it. And I need to get some more of this development done. Today was a planning day where we were getting a bunch of stuff underway on how to move forward despite a few setbacks, and that oftentimes can eat a giant buck at a time. And so I'm going to maze this out a little bit. You know what? I'm going to group those. And I'm going to use that over here for my checkpoint Heidi stuff. Because that's a pretty decent combo of meshes already. Because it gives us those delicious spikes and then kind of gives a reason for the lights to be there. Let's see how that looks. You have no HTC Vive. Visions, this is going to... we're not going to be releasing the VR version for this until after we release the standard. This plays alone in regular PC. And if damn it, I did not mean to go there. So you can play and buy this to your heart's content in just your regular old computer. That looks good, don't you think? The lighting plays, gives us some nice shadows off those spikes, a little bit of reflection off the skulls, gives you a good feeling of this is not a good place to be. Yeah, I'm definitely digging on that. So what I can do now is grab this little bastard and that little bastard and go slam those over. Yeah. I know there's one over here. So you will not necessarily need to have any kind of VR to play this. You will be able to just giggle fart your way through the game on your good old-fashioned Windows-based PC or Mac if you've got some kind of emulator. That's a good one. Although, you know what, and again, I don't want to spend a bunch of time putting these checkpoints around because I don't know if that's the final spot for them. But that does look really good. A lot of cool verticality. The lighting plays really nice off of it. It's really starting to come together here. The Larry Camp Zone. Yeah. I don't really want these guys scattered about simply because I don't have my maze, my murder maze done yet. I really don't like the way those black lava rocks look. That's gotten rid of. We'll leave the pump here because that plays into the place they were just running from. And we can leave a house from time to time. And we can nudge this over because this does imply I already have some pathing predefined by the rock paths I have here, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be big enough. But I want that to be a little bit higher because I don't want the player to be able to see over the edge of it. This is checkpoint 6 or checkpoint 7. Kind of a blend. I've merged checkpoints 6, 7, and 8 all together into the final stage, so we're still in the final stage, stage 3. The first 2 stages have been locked for a long time now. Oh shoot, be right back. I gotta write something on my wall of things to do before I forget. I've got to write up one of the animations that I was forgetting about. Alright, and now I'm back. I keep forgetting without Paul here, I can be as loud as I feel like being. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I suppose I could while he's here, but that would just seem like a dick thing to do. Pretty sure Kaet will fit through there without any problems. I do think I'm going to pivot that just a little bit to allow the player out through that way. Raise that up just a little because I'm going to hide some kill zombies in there. Let's see. Follow the pathing that I've already got in there a little bit. And since in these rocks I can have the static mesh kind of collide with each other because they are using basically the same material, so it blends very nicely. And this one's got a real nice long tail on it. But I am going to vary the height a little bit because there's nothing worse than if everything looks like it's the same height. And realistically, the character's down here anyway, so they can't see over it. So you want some of them higher, some of them lower. And you know what I could do is, even a little bit, I could pop this up to be a 6. So that way it just doesn't look like I'm tiling and repeating in that really unattractive way that tiled meshes can sometimes have. Oops, that is not wide enough for Kaet to fit through. That should be alright though. Basically what I want is for every single player that comes through here to be afraid of the direction that they're going through. And now that we've actually got a little bit of a maze set up here, just through the magic of the internet, because I've already got a decent path, what we're going to do is, just for giggles, it worked real well with the trees, so let's see how it does with the rocks. We're gonna, because I can always repaint the landscaping on. Things have a tendency to look completely different when they're rotated. So it doesn't look like it's the same thing that you just saw on the other side. And what we're just going to do is adjust the meshes a little bit so that way we don't have any floaters. He is sitting on the ground nicely. It gives us a good boulder. And voila, we now have another tasty path. Oh, we've got a little bit of a bastard here. Let's drop him down like he's hot. Is he a duplicate? He is not. There we go. We want to create paths for players to get lost in, so that way they can start to panic when they hit a dead end and their time starts to run out. And these rocks are doing a bully of a job with that. We don't really ever want the player knowing what's behind door number 2. jaw. We've repeated that use so many times, and I'm just kind of bored of it. Let's move this guy over a little tiny bit to make sure there's enough room for our zombies to walk past. You know what? I want to see if I can get him trapped there. Can you make walking zombies in the Snape? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Visions. We already have a nice walking zombie. We took our jump scare zombie and we modified it to where, yeah. And that's the intention, is that there's going to be an endless number of not an endless number, but a large number of zombie horde kind of walking, slow walking, chasing you through all of this. And so what I want to do is create a pathway, a series of paths that double back on itself, forcing the player to get stuck in positions that make them have to go back through the zombie or die. And there's going to be multiple ways that you can get through here. So, I mean, I don't want to put in weeks of time trying to judge the intricacies of maze logic on something like this. But on the other hand, I want to make the player feel like they do have to make good choices. And these rocks are doing an excellent job with that. So we're going to make ourselves a happy little maze. And some of it I'm just going to be a massive jerk by making it to, for example, this section. The player is going to be stuck. Going in a circle. You can't climb on the stones. The jump doesn't go that high. In best case scenario, you just find your way to another stone. Realistically, if I see that, because I'm going to play test this with some people beforehand, and if they use that as a solution, then I just very simply make the walls higher. Because I can just grab this bad boy, pop up a buddy, rotate it on its axis, a little bit. And since these meshes work really well within each other, now it's too high for the character to get up on top of it. Plus, I think we can probably change the collision on it to can character step up on this component, and we can just change that to no. Either way, this is definitely going to be a section where the player is boned. Nest this one in here. Can you make a hole with the jump scare zombie? Oh yeah, I've got plenty of those. I've got plenty of pits and traps where if you get stuck in it, you are just boned. that's going to need to have to be smoothed out. And before I do that, I'm going to save all of the work I've been doing. Yep, we got lots of traps. They're in the previous stages for this. I don't know if it's going to show it on the screen, but I'm saving the level out right now. So we've got a few other people watching. Let's see who we've got. Eli, I don't know if I said hi. I think I did. Hi again. Faye Gwent, nice to see you. Still not talking. Flip Game Visions. Let's see if I recognize anybody over here. Fishtail, I don't know if you're still watching, or Frog Hates Water, but if you are, hi, how you doing? TTG, I don't know if you're still watching or if somebody else is. Let's see, participants. Looks like it's just me. The hanging zombies do not kill the player. They are simply set dressing. And they make a lovely little squish noise, and they are disconcerting to look at. Playing some OSU? I gotcha. I don't know if I want to block that way off or not. I kind of feel like I do. That way, whoever's walking around this way. And then what I want is grab my little semicircle here. Oh, hey, Kevin, yep, I forgot. I always forget to go look over at Facebook, too. And with this happy little semicircle, that tree's buried in there a little bit, so we'll move him out. Nestle him nicely in the corner. Because what that does is now the line of sight is blocked by it, so the player won't necessarily know what the right direction to go in is. Pop one of these guys up over here just so that way our stones look like they all belong. No, I don't want to have a hanging zombie do the killing on this. There's a few just gameplay and appealing reasons for it. Some of the stuff I just want to be disconcerting. Because if everything can kill you, it doesn't play in like I want it to. I want some things to kill you, some things not to kill you. That way you're never really sure. I have something else for the end in mind that's going to really piss people off. As God intended. Alright, this guy I'm going to actually make a little bit bigger. Just to break up that line of sight a little bit. So the player doesn't necessarily know what is the correct direction. And let's rotate it up. There we go. That's a beautiful line of sight blocker right there. That may need to be rotated out and down a little bit. And then I would assume moved just a tiny bit. There we go. And save the levels out again. Oh my gosh, it is 4:15. The time flew by today. It's funny because anytime I get here, like really early in the morning, the day just flies by. But when I get here late, it just seems to crawl. little bit there. It's super attractive, I know. Oh, I just realized we didn't get my new favorite friend in today, the Emil Ram. We're gonna ramp this down just a little bit. I'm gonna add that ramp. That gives us a nice smooth over here. And then I'm going to grab another one. Oops, that is not at all what I wanted to do. And have it here. That's going to bake those textures on. And the landscape ramp tool saves me from having to try and like super sculpt it out and make sure there's no hard edges on it. It looks like I might have to just a little bit. The stun blood. I've already got the gameplay features in mind. Thanks though, Visions. I have specific place that I put the stun blood. Oh shit, I did not mean to make that quite so strong. Ugh. I just borked my beautiful flat scape. Oh, although that's not too bad. There we go. That is not too bad at all. Yeah, I ended up going out to pick up a lidocaine back patch wrap for a friend of mine whose back is injured. And I was involved in some managerial business meetings this afternoon with my business partner. And then in discussing with Paul today where we were at and our new strategy forward. This mazing is looking real good. One could even say it looks amazing. One could say that. And I'm not going to give any breadcrumbs. At this stage, I want the player to be panicky and not knowing where in the mother-loving hell they should be going. This is a nice combo of stuff. So I'm going to save all these levels out again. I'll be right back. I actually have to take a real quick refill on my water. And didn't I have something that said like lunch, BRB? Boop, boop, boop. I guess it's not really lunchtime, so I don't want to put that on there, but I will be right back. It's not like I'm going to miss out on like a million people are going to pop in, see my chair's empty, and then leave. So BRB. Hey, Visions. Yeah. If you do, that's fantastic. One of the things, well, if you don't mind, send me a contact. I don't really, I'm not a big fan of having other people reach out on my behalf. I prefer to do the reaching out. Just because we've found in the past that sometimes people say entirely the wrong thing. Not suggesting you would, but oftentimes it is better for me to handle the business side. Oh shit, did I put all the trees in checkpoint? I did. Scott, you big dummy. I should have put all the trees in checkpoint 8. That way I could have had checkpoint 7 be without. Oh well. I could just go into the world outliner and hide all the trees, which I may end up doing. So now we've got another happy little path here. Do is pop them over, bloop, and see what kind of new amazing that gives me. So I can always adjust. And yeah, Envisions, because I can always pop him a free copy of the game for like marketing and press purposes. I don't necessarily need him to just buy the single one. Publicity that we could get from a big YouTuber, a reasonable sized YouTuber, is good. How do I want this? I wonder what it would do if I slammed it up this way. What will this do to my amazing? Because what I can do is this, and then just delete out the ones that are super fucky. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and in case you don't have it, that email sends its way over to me. Alright, so let's take a look and see. That one's okay. I do want to get rid of this one because I wanted that path. That one's kind of, excuse me, in the way. That one's a little in the way. I don't want that one there. This tree. Sometimes if like the movement point isn't in the right spot, which is often the case if you group things, you can right click and set the pivot point to somewhere else. So what I'm going to do is for every exit from the maze, the first thing you'll be greeted by is a happy little murder tree. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Okay, murder tree there. And then I'm going to, I don't want it to be a straight line. Straight lines are stupid. Okay, this is a straight line. Which means this needs to block line of sight a little bit. direction, comes back around, and you know what we're gonna actually do. And here's a problem. I know what I'm doing is I'm subconsciously following the rock paths that I made on the ground with the painting tool, and I should not be doing that. That's not a straight line. We're going to pivot this out a little bit just so the player doesn't necessarily know what's down there because it's going to be so dark. Oh yeah, well that's fine. VR video challenges are fun. I love watching the reaction shots for that stuff, and we've been putting some extra work to make sure that this will super piss people off on some of the sections that they're going to think they're safe, and they will not be. And let's see, this and this guy I want to yank out here. That's not at all what I wanted. There we go. Rotate you around. Pull you up here. That way the player has to make a choice. When they first come out of here, I think I might go a little higher. And then rotate a little bit more to get it on its axis. Oop. And then let's bring that back down to planet Earth. Yeah, the VR version will also be on Steam. It's just a matter of time for it because Paul's got to put in all the VR controls and code and stuff, and we're discovering some amusing issues with VR versus just regular old regular old game. Okay, that should give more than enough opportunity, because I don't want the player ever really knowing where the right direction is. And that means I'm going to have to make this one a little bit bigger. And we're going to rotate it around just so it doesn't look like I'm tiling it again. Actually slap another one on top of it just so I can get some better verticality for this section and to block some line of sight a little bit more, because I just realized I haven't been really paying attention to line of sight blocking entirely. I think I want one more over here. I don't want them everywhere, but I want them enough to where the player doesn't have a clear idea of where they're supposed to go. That way they're always trying to turn down a different direction. And so they're going to be coming from one of these three paths. And so I need another one over here. Ooh, I like that. I don't have a rocky overhang for them to have to walk under. So let's make it even spookier by making it be something that they've got to walk under. When will the VR version be on Steam? That entirely is depending on what challenges Paul faces in getting the code in place. Could be very quickly, could take longer. Then very quickly. Ideally not too long after the regular version launch. Really wanted to get the mazing done today, but I know I'm not going to be able to. Simply because I've got to go pick up my car and my little girl tonight. My car unfortunately ran afoul of having some dill hole the other day, hit and run it while it was parked. Sadly, there's not much you can do to protect against that, especially when you're sleeping. But welcome to the world. Everyone's an asshole. And I can play with the terrain a little bit more. I'm gonna have to run through here with Kaet and make sure she can actually get through all of these. My first instinct was to turn left, and there isn't a way to get through there. So I'm going to make it so you can go left. Still want that height. I just need the room to let you maneuver. Oh, that's looking good. Yeah, that's looking real good. And I need to block this, so that way the player doesn't see that that's the way out. Immediately. Because we've we've got to build up their hope and then just dash it. Just dash it on the rocks of despair. So coming through here. I'm going to actually raise it up a little bit more. Oh, no way to get out that way. And I don't actually want them to be able to get out this way either. Feels like right here needs another rock. Little line of sight breaker. Twisty it a little bit. Alright, so that way can't get out through here. Okay. You can circle and be pissed. Go out through here. Okay, that is kind of a pisser. Do I have a second way out? This way. Oh, I do have a second way out. There's a murder tree there already. And again, right click, pivot, set pivot offset here snapped. I'm going to have my murder tree facing them just to be the happy little welcome to murder tree land. And then this will give only 2 exits. I was going to have 3, but I really like that frustrated feeling that I had just when I was trying to get out. And there wasn't a way that I easily knew how to get out. And I'm going to try and hide this one actually a little bit better, so that way the players don't immediately recognize that it's a way to escape. So if they're coming from here, I want that a little bit more, just so that way it pseudo blocks the line of sight of the path. So that way the player again does not immediately recognize that that is a way out. And then to trick them even more, going to make it a little bit taller and spin it so it really doesn't look like it's a way out. I'm going to deal with lighting in a little bit. I want to get the maze done right, and then after I've mazed it, I'm going to fuck around or play around with the lighting. But yeah, there's a lot I can do with the skulls. I've got lots of little ambient pieces that I like to use. And then again, the temptation is there to breadcrumb it a little bit, but I don't want that. I want the player to feel very lost, very frustrated when they're in here, because this is supposed to be a horror game, and what's one of the beautiful tropes of horror games is that you get lost somewhere and you can't get out. There should be 2 ways out right now, and there are. That murder tree will be fine. I'm going to move him out a little bit just to be on the safe side, to make sure that the physics actors don't fuck up. And to be honest with you, who couldn't use another murder tree? So I can find it. Yeah, I want it to be not scary per se, but frustrating. You know, a lot of people like um, building up for a scare, but for me, it's that it's beforehand. It isn't the man. I'm going to say this in a really disgusting way, but it isn't the act of having sex. It's the most. You know, it's not. It's not the orgasm. It's the humping up, the leading to it. You know, and I'm sure, probably, if anybody's listening that hasn't heard me talk before, is probably just did a spit take, but you know, horror is like the act of having sex. It's not just the orgasm, it's the humping leading up to it. So I've got 2 ways to get out of Scott's horror maze, depending on which way you're going to come through. And I'm really liking it. It feels good. It feels claustrophobic. It doesn't feel like there is a right way to go. There's a lot of misdirections. And a lot of these rocks actually, what is playing into it a little bit for me more than I was expecting is, a lot of these rocks, since they look the same, you don't know if you already came from that direction or not. So I'm going to have to run around here with Kate. Oh, this is going to be wonderful. Some of these are just going to be dead ends. Some of these are going to be, and I bet there's no ambient in there. There is not. Some of these are going to just be chase zombies. And this is going to be so good because you will be turning corners and all of a sudden you're going to have zombies standing up and chasing you. And then you're going to turn the wrong corner and have a jump kill zombie get you. Yeah, I want to build stress. I want to build that stress up so much. Is there a bot command where I can see my watching time? No, I don't know if our bots have that. I had somebody else set the bots up for it just because I didn't want to deal with it. Shoot. Alright. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I can have some fires in there. I can have some these lanterns in there. Actually, I'm going to put this into checkpoint 6 because that's more true to where that should be. And in all honesty, you know what I am going to do real quick? Just that way I can better affect the streaming on it. I'm going to move all these rocks over to checkpoint 6. And it will give the players a little bit of a reprieve by having this one. Toss that in. That's going to give a nice, oh, this is going to be so delicious. Alright, let's see if I can get all these rocks into this level without super screwing it up. Just so that way when I'm doing the level build, I can more easier use the engine. But I am super happy with all of a sudden the real quick, it was almost like rapid progress today on this particular level, getting all these rocks in place. I was worried that I was gonna get stuck in the nitpicking details of, oh, this rock should go here, and that rock should go there, and this rock should go here. And really just kind of letting it flow and dragging it out and seeing the different shapes that it made while throwing it out there. Did a real good job on it. Normally I don't like to have a hands-off approach to game design like that. I'm a little bit, I don't want to say anal, but more nitpicky on where everything is. But for this, throwing it, seeing those unusual shapes, seeing those unusual twists and turns that it made by just copy-pastaing it, really worked out. We'll channel our inner Bob Ross here and just say, no mistakes, just happy accidents. Hey Visions, 10:47 in Germany, Guten Abend. You have yourself a hell of a good night. Thanks for jumping in and joining us again. I will have a free playable game demo for this as well. So as soon as I've got the demo ready, I can, you know, shove that over your guys' way. Level, move those over to, let me save it out real quick, just that way it doesn't bork anything. Yeah, and our Twitch stream always picks up right around 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is funny because that's typically when I'm getting ready to peace out of here. Normally I would stay a little bit later, but again, I've got to pick up my car from the repair place. This looks so good. You know what? I'm real tempted to just real quick, I can fudge my, picking what time I pick my car up a little bit by jamming some lights in just so I can get an idea of how super awesomely creepy it's going to look. And now these lights, by nature of putting them in, are actually going to give a little bit of a clue to the player where they're at in the level. So it's a little bit of a reprieve, but I'm going to have enough of them in. Ideally, my happy moment would be if someone's playing this game and they're like, did I already see this goddamn light? You know, I would love that moment to happen. So I'm going to grab him. I need enough. Okay, you know what? I'm going to hide some of my ceiling here. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I'm discovering. Some more of our duplicated ceiling. Alright, where did that go? There's one. And there's one. You know, and hopefully Emily does do her own stream. She is way more entertaining to watch than a lot of these streamers that I've noticed that they just kind of sit and look at their screen the whole time. And it's like, man, you know, I get that you're cute and all that, and you run with a really good crowd, but Emily was way more entertaining, in my very humble opinion, than a vast majority of current game streamers. You know what? I was going to keep that there, but now I'm not, because it's too much of a visual cue for where one of the exits is. I want people walking in circles. I want somebody to be playing this game to be so upset at why would they put a dead end here. You just imagine the amount of giggling that I would be able to do from that. Be like, well, to fuck with you, of course. No end to the giggling. Plus, I can use these light poles as kind of a lie. I can lead people down certain paths with them. Game dev can be such a psych fuck for someone who's creative. Alright, let's see how it looks. Oh, yeah. In the dark. Rounding a corner, wondering where in the hell am I? You know what? I want you to be here. I want a buddy of you to be over here because I love how you look against that corrugated metal. And all this stuff. Oh, yeah. I just realized I do have too much of a straight line. From this way to that. So I need to rotate it out a little bit. And then block that off a little. That way you will not immediately see that that is the right way home. The hell is that? Oh, put a tree stump there. Completely forgot about that. And this guy is going to go here-ish. And then we're going to give him a brother. Oh, yeah. This is good stuff here. Ceiling back on. Hey, Film Gaming, how the hell are you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Let's see how this looks. Oh, look at that. With just the ambient lighting there, without even any tweaks to it. Oh, this is gonna make so many people upset. Like I said, I want to add enough of these. ¿Sabes español? I do not, unfortunately, the español. I could make the terrible jokes of taco burrito, but I will spare you those. The most I can do is say hola, mi amigo. Oh, I do have one sentence in Spanish that you will enjoy. It was something I learned in high school. Tengo un pollo loco en mi zapato. And yes, I do know what it means. We just had a lot of foreign exchange students at my high school, and we thought it would be amusing if we learned the same sentence in as many languages as possible. And so I've got that in about 5 or 6 different languages. No entiendo ni patata. No idea what that means. I hope you didn't just make me say something really embarrassing. Oh, crap, it's 5 o'clock. I got lost in game dev. You know it's a good day when you get lost in the work, right? And now remember, the beauty of all of this is keeping in mind that these lights are going to go out at different times. And so the player isn't always going to have the same lit experience. Oh, this is so great. These dead ends are so delicious. stick one up here. Just to be a sadist. And everyone spoke English. So what did I just say, Eli? No entiendo ni patata. Is it something truly terrible? Years ago. You're old like me. But we already knew that. And make that here. Oh, actually, that's not at all what I want. It's just delicious. Yeah. All the delicious dark corners. I do want one more over here. Get out. Nice. Oh, this ambient is delicious. Actually pop this up. I'm going overhead a little bit. It's getting me a better light experience. Hey Visions, you are back. I am about to leave. Alright, I'm going to save out the level. It is now 3 after 5. Traffic's going to be murder. I got to try and get down to the car repair shop, pick up my car, and then get the hell out of Dodge to pick up my daughter. But we had a great day for development. We got the murder forest underway, we got the ambient lighting underway, we got the murder maze underway. Next step is going to be putting the murder zombies in. But thanks for everybody to stop by again. And tomorrow and Friday I've got some things I have to attend to, so I will not be in office, so there will not be a stream. But we'll be back at it again, possibly Saturday, Sunday. I don't have a lot planned for the weekend, so I may just be streaming over the weekend as well. But, so here's a final look at the underground murder cave. Really happy. I'm going to have to tighten up a couple of those dark spots. Alright, Eli. Thank everybody for coming on, and I will catch you guys on the flip-flop. And as always, wubba lubba dub dub!